We're talking about the National Basketball Association. Joining me for our NBA Rapid Fire segment, two of our absolutely best handicappers, Tony El Tigre Tellez and Craig El Guapo Trapp.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications every time we have a new video.
Let's start. Gentlemen, Houston Rockets, Minnesota Timberwolves. The Rockets 27-16. The Timberwolves 15-29. The Rockets beat the Nuggets. That snapped a 4-game loser for them, and the Timberwolves, they are only 2-8. They've lost the last 7 in a row. The Rockets are 5-point favorites, total 234.5. Let's start with you, Craig.
Well, the key in this one, I think, is Minnesota finally starting to get a little healthier. And, Houston, of course, like you said, snapped that losing streak. I think this Houston team continues to be one of the better teams in the West. If you just look at their overall talent and their overall scoring ability, I think you have to go with the total here. Minnesota plays very little defense, neither does Houston. I think 234 sounds like a lot, but I still think this one goes over. Let's take the over 234 here.
All right, Tony.
Yeah, I'm going to look here and take Houston Rockets -5. Yeah, they've had some recent struggles. They come up with a nice win against Denver, but that's against teams that know what they're doing defensively. The Timberwolves, for a couple of seasons now, they have no clue how to defend. Of course, we're looking here at their past 5 games, allowing 51% shooting. They've lost 7 straight, failing to cover 6 of those games. Coming off a 7-point loss to a bad Chicago team. Rockets, they'll feast on these bad defensive teams. They'll find their groove here. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 5 with Houston.
All right, next up, the Denver Nuggets against the New Orleans Pelicans. The Nuggets 30-14, Pelicans 17-28. The Nuggets are 13-8 straight up on the road, which is a pretty good number. Let's see. They've got Gary Harris, Nathan Plumlee are out. They've gone under in 6 of the last 6. And the Pelicans, they're 8-14 at home, 12-10 against the spread. JJ Redick and Josh Hart should return to play in this game. Total's gone over in 11 of the last 12. Pelicans 3-point home favorites, and the total's 231. Let's start with you, Tony.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Pelicans here at -3. Really tough to back Denver. They failed to cover a 3 of 4 after that 16-point loss to a struggling Houston team. But Denver has been decimated with multiple injuries right now, key players in rotation. We're looking at least 5 rotational players injured. We have 3 that are out, 2 that are questionable. And they played better of late, covering 8 of their past 10, and they are shooting the ball well, nearly 49%, 39% from 3. And the Nuggets' defensive form on the 3-point line has not been quite sharp right now. Depth will be an issue here. I believe New Orleans will run at a fast pace, but just too many injuries on the Denver side. I'll take New Orleans -3.
All right, Craig.
Well, the question here for me is Zion. Obviously he looked good late in that game. Of course, he was on a minutes restriction. Is he going to be on a minutes restriction again? That's the key. And how many minutes? Is he going to stay under that 25? If he's under 25, I kind of going to probably butt heads with Tony. I'll probably take Denver, a banged-up Denver team, getting 3 points. Like Nick said, 13-8 straight up against the road. Granted, not great lately because of all the injuries. But I got to think that Zion, second game in 3 days, maybe they said he wasn't, feeling much, but I still think they'll be very, very safe with him the next couple weeks. Let's take Denver here plus the 3 points.
Well, poor kid can't get away from having a curfew, can he? All right, Grizzlies at Pistons. That's probably better for Luka Doncic, right? What's he, like 20 years old? What's Zion, 22? 22 or 21, right? Oh, 19. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah. Unbelievable. These kids coming into the league today, I mean, it is incredible the talent they have. But they do have to be managed and managed carefully. And that's why I think the franchise that they end up with is so important. All right, let's talk about the Grizzlies at the Pistons. The Grizzlies 20-24. They're 7-3. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They're 8-11 straight up, 9-9-1 against the spread. They've gone under in 4 of the last 5. And the Pistons, 17-28. They're 5-5. They beat Sacramento 126-106 last outing. They're 9-13 straight up at home and against the spread, which ain't great. Andre Drummond will play, but Bruce Brown Jr. won't play. And the Pistons are narrow home favorites at 1.5 point with 227.5. We started with you, Tony. Let's go with Craig.
Well, this one, it's all about the Grizzlies here. I think the Grizzlies, obviously, they play in the tougher side of the NBA. The Pistons play in the East, and they're still 17-28. The one thing Detroit has going for him is Rose. Rose has had a great year. Probably, I don't say he's MVP type season they had back when he was with Chicago, but he's having a great season, and supposedly a lot of teams wanting him via trade before the trade deadline here. But this Memphis young Grizzlies team can really score. They really push the pace. I just don't think the Pistons can score with them. So let's take the Memphis Grizzlies, slight underdog here, but let's take a money line because I think you'll probably get them at plus 105, plus 110 here as the Grizzlies win outright.
All right, Tony.
Yeah, I'm with Craig here. I'm going to take Memphis here plus the points. It's just tough really to back Detroit. They've not been good against the better teams in the league. We've seen them beat up on some bad teams of late. Sacramento and line. They caught Boston dealing with injuries in the rotation, and the flu was going around in there. But I think, like Craig said, I think this will be a get-well game for the Memphis Grizzlies. They find a team here they can really pound on. They've been a really good scoring team. They've shown some improvement. They're shooting the ball well. Looking at the past 5 games, nearly 47%. And we look at here at the Pistons, nearly in the bottom of the league in field goal defense, allowing over 47% shooting. I'll take Memphis plus the points.
All right, and gentlemen, allow me to say how splendid your picks have been so far. Okay, let's move along. Next one, Sacramento Kings, 15-29 against the 17-29 Chicago Bulls. The Kings 3-7 on a 6-game losing streak. They lost to the Pistons last outing, 7-16 straight up away from home, 13-10 against the spread there as well. Marvin Bagley III is doubtful. They've gone over in all of their last 6 games, and the Bulls 4-6 coming off a win over the Timberwolves. At home, they're 10-14 straight up, 11-13 against the spread. The total's gone under. Look, guys, neither of these teams have particularly good records either away or at home. So I didn't get the numbers on this one. I'm going to throw it over to you, Tony, to start it.
Yeah, in this one, I'm gonna take the over here, over 221. And you mentioned the over with Sacramento, and the Bulls have been going over as well. These teams just don't play defense. I mean, we look at the past 5 games, Sacramento giving up 49% shooting. The Bulls giving up 51% shooting, 39% from 3. Now, we look at the Bulls' recent games against bad defensive teams. They posted 117 points to Minnesota, 118 to Cleveland, 115 to Washington, all at home. And Sacramento, they've allowed 118 or greater in 5 of 6. And the exception was Orlando, who's one of the worst scoring teams in the league. I'm going to go ahead and take this game to go over total of 221.
All right, Craig, how do you see it?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't talk you off the over for sure. I have to fade the Kings team, though. I was on them the other night when they lost to like we just talked about the Pistons. Pistons not very good. Pistons ran them off the court, and I think the Bulls will do the same. The Kings, I just don't know where their heads are. The effort on defense is non-existent. Let's take the Bulls here, -2. Small favorite at home.
Very nice. Okay, next up, the Raptors at the Knicks. The Raptors 30-14, 25-19 against the spread. They're 7-3 on a 5-game win streak, 14-7 straight up, 11-10 against the spread away from home. 14-7 away from home is pretty good. Total over in 4 of the last 5 games. The Knicks 12-33. Ouch. 23-22. New York hates it when their teams lose, but I love it. Okay, 2-8 in the last 10 for the Knickerbockers. They lost 92-100 to the Lakers last outing, 6-16 straight up at home. 11-11 against the spread at home. Heart palpitations. Total under in 4 of the last 5. This team just isn't very good, by the way, which is why the Raptors are 7.5-point road favorite. Right, Craig, with a total of 215.5. How do you see it?
Well, as bad as the Knicks have been at times this year, they've been better lately for us bettors. And I think you have to take them as, yeah, I know, but at home, 7.5 points against a Raptors team that's still banged up. When the Raptors are healthy, this team would mop the floor with the Knicks. I just think they're going to win this game, but I think it's in that 4 to 5 range. So give me the 7.5 points reluctantly with a young Knicks team that's hopefully continues to be a little better against the spread, as they're 5-5 against the spread in the last.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Craig. I mean, the Raptors are on a 5-game win streak, okay, and the Knicks are 2-8 in the last 10, coming off a loss to the Lakers, which maybe was closer than they thought. Win. I know.
They're just 5-5. Both the teams are 5-5 against the spread, so it's not like the Raptors have been knocking the cover off of the ball, as they say in baseball, as far as bettors are concerned.
All right, Tony T, how do you see it? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, this is my best play. This is my best play of the day from the NBA. Pick it up right now at picksandparlays.net.
Oh, you teaser, you. All right, so while we're talking about that, so why don't you pick up Tony's play, head over to the website, picksandparlays.net, and Tony, I'm sorry to do this to you. Get his play for 15% less, okay? Go ahead and buy it, put it in the basket, and use promo code COLD, C-O-L-D, and laugh all the way to the bank. Okay, next up, let's go. Suns at Spurs. The Phoenix Suns 18-26, 12-21-1 against the spread. They're 5-5 in the last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. That was to the Spurs and the Pacers. They're 9-10 straight up away from home, 12-7 against the spread away. Aaron Baines and Cameron Johnson are out. Total's gone under in 6 of the last 9. And the Spurs 20-23, 6-4 in the last 10, but they're on a 3-game winning streak, which is why the record's actually improved a little bit to something that one might always mention without spitting. 12-10 straight up, 7-15 against the spread when at home. Total's gone over in 12 of 17. And we've got a nice point total here of 229. And the San Antonio Spurs are home favorites at 3.5, which to me seems a little low. Let's go with you, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, it does look a little low. That's why I was reluctantly going to take the Spurs at 3.5 or 4, where I see it most of the spots right now. But it's just like it's almost like a trap spot because Spurs have been playing so much better than the Suns. I think the safer play is the over here, over 229. This Spurs team is not the Spurs of the Tim Duncan and David Robinson when they would beat you inside and play great defense and win low-scoring games. They do it just the opposite now. They shoot tons of threes, and they score a lot of points. I think the Suns defense will allow plenty of points too and score their fair share. Let's take the over 229 here.
Okay, Tony T, 1 minute, go.
Yeah, I can't argue with the overplay, but I'm going to go ahead and lay the points for the Spurs. Here we go again with an injury. We just mentioned Baines, one of the big guys. When Baines and Ayton are together in the lineup with Booker, I like the Suns, but with Baines out, I'm going to go against the Suns. We just saw them get blown out on their home court, 112-87 to Indiana, who was on the road. And, of course, the defensive form terrible. They're giving up 42% from three over their past 5 games. And we're seeing the Spurs shooting the 3-ball better. That's why we've seen some improvement. They just beat New Orleans in a game they were supposed to lose because Zion was back in the lineup. We'll go ahead and lay the points with San Antonio.
All right, guys, great picks. Really appreciate it. By the way, these are 2 of our best handicappers right there. Actually, Andrew, put them back on the screen if you're watching us. There they are. There's one there and one there. There you go, Tony and Craig. You can get their picks right now on the site, picksandparlays.net. Look how wonderful they look today. Okay, you can get their picks, picksandparlays.net. 15% off everything you put in the basket. Use promo code COLD, C-O-L-D.